I always tell the current students or, recent grads, like, hang in there. This will be worth it. Everything that you're going through, the tassel will be worth the hassle.
Yes. Hello, Blue Jays, and welcome to The Nest, stories about life after Manor College. I am your host, Kelly Pfeiffer, Vice President of Marketing Communications, and this is the best part of my day. My hope is that this podcast will encourage, inform, and inspire you, making you feel like at Manor College you belong here always. Before we get to today's guest, it is time for another Blue Jay Spotlight segment. This time, we're talking to one of our newest graduates, Tamia Gladney. Tamia first came to Manor College for an associate's in veterinary technology in 2021. And now she recently has completed an associate's degree in dental hygiene as well. Listen to Tamia's story.
I've always just not necessarily liked school, but just having like more knowledge. Like knowledge is power. I feel like that is a saying that's known all around the world and it's true. You can never stop learning, and the more that you learn, the more opportunities you create for yourself. So why not have careers that, God forbid another like COVID situation happens, I can lean on one, the other, or both at the same time. So just wanted to make, multiple routes for myself career-wise. Definitely lean on your classmates. Like that is the biggest one I could take away. Like the community here, especially like when you're in programs here that are smaller. It's a smaller school, which is why I came back in the first place. I just remember doing that when I was in vet tech too. Just relying on one another and just having that mental like awareness. Like I'm not the only one going through this right now. I'm not by myself. I have people beside me going through this too. Definitely helped me like mentally and emotionally like still persevere and push through, because there was moments where I was like, can I do this? But having my friends and faculty also helping me too along the way was nice. Don't be so hard on yourself, and I'm even struggling with that now, like preparing for boards. I've made it this far. I've persevered through many things, not just in the program, but outside, because life doesn't stop while you're in school. Like things happen, so you have your highs and your lows, and it is easier said than done, but just reminding yourself of like where you've come from. Like I wasn't in the dental hygiene program, but I got accepted. That's a goal right there. So I just had to take the small successes and bunch them up into a big one until I got to the point to where I am now. So that's the biggest thing.
This episode of The Nest is sponsored by the Manor College Dental Hygiene Program. If you are looking to jumpstart a career in healthcare and you want a program with a proven track record, at Manor, the results speak for themselves. Our students in dental hygiene don't just pass the National Dental Hygiene exam, they crush it with a stellar 98% pass rate. But it's what happens after graduation that truly sets Manor graduates apart. The program has a 100% employment rate for graduates in dental practices within 12 months of finishing the program. That means when you walk across that stage, you aren't just getting a degree, you're going to step directly into a career. If you're ready to join a program where success is the standard, visit manor.edu. That's manor.edu. You belong here. Joining us today is a guest who truly embodies the grit and dedication of the city of brotherly love. Born and raised in Northeast Philly, she spent her high school years at the legendary Philadelphia Creative and Performing Arts High School, back in the days before the city's charter school had expanded. While she started in the arts, her professional calling took a clinical turn when she arrived at Manor. She enrolled in one of the most rigorous programs on campus, dental hygiene. Between the intense clinical hours and the demanding coursework, she'll tell you firsthand she had zero time for clubs and extracurriculars because it was all about the work. Under the mentorships of Manor legends like Dr. Ginny Saunders and Kathleen Daly, she earned her associate's degree in 2010. Since then, she hasn't just practiced dental hygiene, she has become a vital leader in our city's infrastructure. Today, she serves as a public health dental hygiene practitioner and a health services administrator for the City of Philadelphia Department of Public Health. She is a 2010 Manor graduate and a true champion for community wellness. Please welcome to the show, Leslie Reilly. Hi, Leslie.
Hi, Kelly. Thank you for that introduction. My goodness. Wow. It really takes me back to my time at Manor, and I can't believe how quickly everything has passed.
Yes, thanks so much for being with us today. I'm honored to talk to you. So, take us back, Leslie. How did you first hear about Manor College and why did you ultimately decide to attend?
I first heard about Manor probably through family members. As you mentioned, lifelong Philadelphian here, specifically from Northeast Philly. Manor was always mentioned. I think even before it was called Manor College, I think it may have had a different name even decades before that, but it was still well known in the area. Um, and the dental hygiene program always was something that clinicians in private practice in the professional world always had mentioned as an option, somewhere close to home. And it was probably in 2007. I had already obtained my bachelor's degree at that point in a completely different major. And just looking at the optics at that time, looking what I could do to ensure a successful path for myself, for my growing family, and just to be have that financial independence that I was so seeking at that moment. And I applied to Manor. I had a seamless application process, toward the facilities. And little did I know what I was getting myself into at that time, but it was one heck of a wild ride, and I am so glad I did it.
That's awesome. That's great. I mean, how was it going from creative and performing arts high school to dental and kind of what sparked
Oh,
that shift?
that shift, yeah. So I obtained my bachelor's in fine arts from the University of the Arts that has since closed in recent years, in dance education. Extremely passionate about dance. I love it. It is my heart song. You can always find me, even now in clinic with patients, I'm always singing and dancing and trying to keep the mood light. But at the time, I was a recent newlywed and really saw the demands of the environment changing in Philadelphia and wanted to have that self support to be able to provide for myself and children down the line. And it was almost between nursing and dental hygiene. And I said, oh, it's this doesn't sound so bad. And I already have college degree under me. This will be this can't be that bad. And little did I know, I was in for some of the toughest academic coursework probably since early grade school. So it was. I often compare myself jumping almost like in Legally Blonde, like Elle
Mm,
Woods going from fashion merchandising to Harvard Law. I felt like I was emulating Elle Woods in my time, leading up to and then during Manor.
mhm.
Just really, kind of having that. Culture shock in terms of academic expectations from a fine arts degree to a heavy um, science degree with such intense coursework and balancing your clinical component as well. And I think that was something that Manor, in hindsight, for me, you can't. It's priceless. You could not put a price on that at this point. I really look back at all the tears, the sweat, the stress. And it was just so worth it, being on the other side and coming out on the other side, and I always tell the current students or, recent grads, like, hang in there. This will be worth it. Everything that you're going through, the tassel will be worth the hassle.
Yes, yes. Well, I have to go back to the Legally Blonde, um, obviously moment there that you mentioned. Love that reference
Uh-huh.
so much. Big Elle
Mhm.
Woods fan over here. But yeah, the dental hygiene program is very intense. A lot of times, those students don't participate in campus activities or on sports teams. They usually don't work outside of their
Right.
studies. It's really, really intense. It's 2 years. They do these clinical rotations. They have to bring in their own patients, a lot of times their own family and friends, and sit in the chair and get a cleaning. And they have to have people with certain amounts of different things within their,
Yes.
um,
Yep.
so how did like the intensity of the program prepare you for the pace of now public health that you work in? And like, do you see any like correlations between the two of them?
The pace of the coursework um, that Manor sets forth with the students, and I think almost any CODA accredited program out there for dental hygiene, it's unlike anything. And I often, I do carry some animosity towards nursing majors, because they don't have to go through the same rigorous clinical work like we did, where we are held accountable if a patient doesn't present that day. Cosmetology students, they don't get docked points or penalized in any way. So it's definitely something I try to let current or prospective students know, is like, hey, start building your patient base now, and start advertising. I mean, in 2008 to 2010, my time there, social media was not a thing, as it wasn't even on the same level as it is now. So it's much easier to have visibility now to recruit patients as a student. But often, so many of us now in the dental hygiene profession, we always say to ourselves, if we survived hygiene school, you can survive anything in life. And I really feel that's true. Just the extra stress of finding those patients was such an added layer. So I think having that balance in the past totally prepared me for just balancing the tenets of public health, the clinical application, even in my master's program, the coursework in my master's in public health. I felt like I was able to breeze through it because I didn't have that clinical component, adding to the weight of the program. So I felt more than prepared, having successfully completed the coursework that Manor requires to graduate. I really do feel that, like, you could take on the world if you got through hygiene school, and with Dr. Saunders, like, oh, you can do anything in life.
Well, that's a really good kudos for the program. It
Yeah,
certainly is challenging, but
absolutely.
it's very preparatory. Like, it's going to make you
Mhm.
ready to do anything, like you said. So that's really good feedback for us to hear. Um,
Absolutely.
can you talk to us about exactly your role that you're working in
Sure.
today? I know some people might hear public health and think one thing, and they also hear administrator and hear another
Mhm.
thing. Can you kind of give us the breakdown of what
Sure.
is your role and how are you serving the city of Philadelphia?
Sure. So my role currently, I've had for the last 9 years. Um, I am currently a public health dental hygienist, or dental hygiene practitioner, as the state of Pennsylvania recognizes us. They have recognized that we have had enough hands-on experience in the professional sector, postgraduate, as a practicing registered dental hygienist, where we do not need the direct supervision of a dentist on site in the facility that we're working in. So, such facilities could be nursing homes, long term care facilities, mobile dental clinics in rural areas, school dental hygiene programs. Again, it's more commonly seen in rural areas of the state. And also in federally qualified health centers. So Philadelphia has 8 health centers deemed for residents of the city. You just provide your proof of residency, a bill or a photo ID. Um, these clinics provide multiple different services to the residents in terms of medical, dental care, medications, and with pharmacy, X-rays, mammograms. So it's really nice to have everything in one building, one brick and mortar stop. So placed throughout the city, there's 8 different centers that have dental clinics. So I see patients throughout the week. The location that I work in currently is in like the Northern Liberties, Fishtown section. So most of the patients in that area is a high migrant population from Central America. I'm often leading with Spanish as the first language versus English. So it's given me, again, some perspective of how to structure my day. What do I need to do with just providing access to care for people who have never seen a dentist before in their life? How do you educate people to make different changes within their diet, within their environment? So I felt like Manor 100% prepared me for that, just having those um, patient interactions, the motivational interviewing, um, and giving me the confidence to really just build my autonomy as a hygienist, as a clinician, to manage my own pace, how to support other staff members, other clinicians, how to integrate within other disciplines, addressing also people with various special needs. Again, just realizing that people, although they may have a certain level of education, their health literacy may be very little. They may not know certain things that you're supposed to do, like changing your toothbrush every 2 to 3 months or after you've had a cold or illness. So simple things like that, I felt more than capable to do, as well as transitioning to the administrative component of what I do, in terms of overseeing grants, data analysis reports. Um, the city receives federal funding for these health centers in order to serve the public. So making sure that we're meeting certain um, indicators for national goals, federal standards as far as services and preventive care. So all things that on a smaller scale at Manor I was doing, I'm now doing it on a bit larger scale with other dentists and medical directors.
Wow. That's a lot. So
It is, and it's really cool to see. I feel like I kind of navigated that path on my own. It wasn't necessarily at the time something so common that like Dr. Saunders or Dr. Scorpio even may have had such familiarity with. Maybe I feel a lot of the Manor grads go right into private sector, which is great. And now there's so many dental offices in our surrounding area. So it's definitely great to have had that experience, but I felt like I was the only one. It still seems like I'm the only one that kind of went this path. And I
Mhm.
love that it was unconventional because that's exactly how I felt at Manor. Like I was the only one in my graduating class that had no experience prior to Manor, working in the dental field. I Again, like Elle Woods, just kind of woke up one day and I said, I think I'm going to go to hygiene school and do this because this sounds like a fun career. And so I definitely struggled to overcome those adversities in the program as being the one without that prior experience to navigating a new experience of my own to be able to come back and talk to alumni, or current students about an opportunity.
That's awesome. Well, Leslie, thank you so much for sharing all of that you're doing. It's certainly a lot important. I love that so much, and I think it's really just amazing how you're so capable of doing, so many different things. So, what's like the biggest oral health challenge that you would say is currently facing people in Philadelphia? What are you seeing is like very prevalent?
Still feel access to care. A lot of people, even as I said, maybe just in the scope of residents of Philadelphia, a lot of children have access to care through CHIP or Medicaid with certain adults. However, Medicaid at the adult level has a very limited scope of service for oral health. And as we know, prevention is better than the cure most times. So being able to really target and treat the youth, educating young parents or parents of newborns, just to get them on a path of success to prevent such diseases like early childhood caries, educating them about uh, the use of sweet liquids in a baby bottle or certain
Mm,
fruit snacks, goldfish crackers, things like that that really have a high decay rate, and can put individuals at risk for having a high decay rate. Also, a lot of people in Philadelphia, a lot of, maybe migrants or new residents of the city, they're not aware that our tap water has fluoride in it, which is one of like the best public health, creations in my terms as a public health major. One of the best things that really has developed. It's such a low cost option, as a preventive agent. So that's something that, I do educate people on, and how can we get these tools and products into your hands without breaking the bank? What's realistic for you and your budget? So I feel looking at these issues that are present, in terms of starting so young with oral diseases, um, or teenagers with vaping and tobacco use, different things, even HPV and oral cancer screenings, with vaccinations. So there's so many facets of whole body health that really do have a central theme of the mouth.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. I'm so glad that we're doing so many things to make access to healthcare just better, more affordable, more available, and definitely it starts with your mouth. I mean, it's huge. Um,
Yeah.
uh, so Leslie, looking back at your 2010 version of yourself, I guess what would you say to your younger self, if you could, and kind of knowing what you know now and knowing how she was feeling then,
Ugh.
what would you share with yourself in like retrospect?
Looking back, oh my gosh, it's like getting emotional. Woo. I I would tell her, this is buckle up. This is only the beginning. Um, I had mentioned earlier in the podcast, when I began my enrollment in 2008, I was a newlywed. Shortly after, in 2012, life just completely changed for me. I am now divorced, and had I not had the education that Manor provided me with, I don't know where I would be.
Mm,
So again, looking back, I survived hygiene school. I got through some pretty, stressful life, unfortunate life events that I've turned into lemonade. Had it not been for those moments, I wouldn't be in public health. This is never where I saw myself. I thought I would be, um, in a pediatric practice, and, working only a few days a week, and, with a large family. And had it not been for these adversities, I don't think I would have been prepared to take on the role I have today. Um, One of my first jobs in public health was working in the Philadelphia prison system.
mm,
And the clinical experience that provided me, my goodness, like, I thought I had a great, purview and kind of, offering at Manor College, but my goodness, there was so much to learn. And I'm so grateful. I always tell everybody I miss working in the prisons, and it really was true. It really just tied in so many different aspects of the program and the coursework, from medical sociology to psychology to nutrition to the clinical component that the hygiene program brought forth. So I really am so grateful. And the path that I don't think I could take another path. Like, this is my destiny. Like, I really was meant for this. So I 2010 was only the beginning, and it's such a feather in the cap, as you might say, like, to my life thus far. Like, I don't think I would change anything. I wouldn't want to go anywhere else. I saw it when we had to take our clinical board exam, the graduating class, once
mhm,
we have to begin pursuing our professional license. And it was at that moment I said, wow, this is why the teachers are so specific and particular, and raised us, or brought forth this discipline.
mhm.
This is why they have such high expectations. And this is why, well, partial, sorry, but this is why I think Manor brings out the best in the dental hygiene students that are out in the workforce. I think I'm a little partial to the Manor students, but
That's
I
okay.
even the EFTAs that come out of the program, I do have
Hmm.
some of them as colleagues currently. They are some of the top tier professionals in oral health, and just are so assertive with working, and their expectations of their
Hmm.
work performance. So I have to say, Manor's doing something right. I, I,
Yeah.
I still feel Manor is
For sure, for sure.
Yeah,
Well,
this
it's
is where
amazing to hear how fulfilled you feel and how you just feel like you are doing your life's work. That's a
yeah,
great feeling, and that's something
yeah,
that I would wish for all of our alumni, that they are out there and they are feeling that same
yeah,
way. It's really special to hear you just talk about it. So we're going to
yeah.
kind of play a quick this or that round, dental hygiene version.
Sure.
So you just pick which one you like more. So a
Okay.
manual or electric toothbrush,
Electric.
morning breath or coffee breath. Which one is worse to work on?
Ooh, morning.
String floss or those floss picks?
I'm gonna still stick with string floss because I like that you can advance to a clean piece every time. Floss picks are great for in a pinch, in a bind. It's better than nothing. But at the end of the day, before you go to sleep, really to get in there, and the string floss for me.
Paste flavor, mint or tropical?
Gotta go with mint. A classic never dies.
And then what is like your best dental everyday tip that you can give?
Oh, I guess as far I'm trying to keep it. I'm trying to keep it as friendly as possible. Huh. Not flossing your teeth or cleaning in between the spaces of the teeth is like not cleaning in some of the dark, warm spaces of our body. And I think our audience might know without me saying it, but it's very similar. So definitely want to make sure you're clearing everything out before having a great 6 to 8 or 10 hours sleep. So for me, it's always going to be that nighttime oral hygiene routine is the most important.
Can you tell when you're working on a patient and you're telling them to make sure you floss and they tell you like or you ask them like, "Do you floss every day?" and they go, "Yes." Can you tell when people are lying? 'Cause I feel like
I
that happens so much.
It does, and I also acknowledge that you've got to, phrase your question a certain way. But I think it's also as a clinician our duty to meet the patient where they are. I know you're going to do it right before you come in, and probably you'll be motivated maybe the next couple days. But it really, and again, Manor taught me this. Dr. Caldwell, our periodontist teacher, she said, as far as building a habit, it's really going to take that 21 to 28 days to pick up a habit. So I said, like, what can we do? What's the most realistic approach with your day to day life, your schedule? When can we find a time? Where do you like to shop and buy your products? What's going to work for you? So I feel my time as a clinician really has helped me see, rather than always being the hygienist wagging your finger at
Mhm.
the patient, making them feel even more secluded and isolated and having that guilt of not doing what they're told. I want to encourage them to be realistic as I tell them, hey, I love my 2 cups of coffee a day. I love it. I love my iced coffee in the afternoon as a treat. We have to be realistic. Not everyone is going to be able to isolate all vices or
Mhm.
questionable items from their diet, whether it's your glass of white wine, a beer, a cigar, and you've got to meet people where they are just to have a more realistic outcome.
Yeah, for sure. But you could tell they're lying, right? You could tell because I can always tell, I feel like.
Oh, and
For
I
sure.
pointed out, and I think that's what there's so much technology now, and just to really explain to them and making sure you're able to communicate with them. I'm very
Mhm.
grateful that the facilities I'm in, we do have interpreters or a third party phone service where we can communicate in the patient's
Yeah,
preferred language.
that's
Making
awesome.
sure that everything is like culturally appropriate. That's very important
Sure.
for me. I always want patients to feel comfortable in whatever language they are
Yeah.
using primarily. I want them to be able to receive their medical care or their oral health care
Yeah.
as comfortably as possible.
That's awesome. Well, Leslie, before we let you go, we have to mention the movie Hustle. And for our listeners and watchers, Leslie attended a career fair at Manor College earlier this year in March. And she got talking to our a staff member of ours. His name is Anthony. He actually helps produce this podcast, and she was telling Anthony how much she loved the movie Hustle. Hustle was filmed right here on Manor's campus. Adam Sandler starred in it. A bunch of NBA players starred in it. Philadelphia legend, Villanova coach Jay Wright was in it, and lots of other big names. So, Leslie, just tell us briefly, why did you love this movie, and what was your reaction when you're watching it and you realize, like, oh my gosh, that's Manor College? What was that like for you?
I feel as a Philadelphian, we're always partial to those underdog stories, the Rockies, um, yeah, like there's just something in us. There's this fire that we have, and coming off of the 2018 Eagles win, and then seeing this movie and not knowing that Manor was going to be featured in it. I immediately recognized the facility right away, and it was at such a pivotal point in the movie where Adam Sandler is talking to his, young recruit, and asking him, "Do you really want this? Like, because you're not showing me, and I need you to want it more than I want it for you." And at that point, it was in the gym. It just tore my heart apart, because my days at Manor, that's really where I had to dig deep and say, every day, Leslie, do you want to do this? Because you have to keep fighting. You can't let these teachers see you cry. You have to want this for you. And that truly was the fire that got me through the program. That internal fire, and lighting that self ignition to just finish this program on a successful note. And I still carry that to this day. So for him, Adam Sandler, to say it to the protagonist at that point, every time I watch that clip, it is just, that's my kryptonite. I'll start crying immediately. But it was just such a full circle moment, and I was so grateful that scene was filmed at Manor, where so many of the fellow hygiene students, I think, probably had gone through the same thing. But for me, I'm a bit of a baby in that sense when it comes to that underdog story, and just wanting it for yourself, to prove to everybody that you can do anything if you put your mind to it.
Yeah, I really think that a lot of our students resonate with that underdog mentality. It's a very Philadelphia thing, but particularly, 85% of our students are working, 30% of our
Yes.
students are full-time caregivers, 65% are first gen. So, like, all those things combined
Mhm.
make college just more meaningful, because you have a lot of other things up against you, or
Yes.
in your life, you're surviving. You know what I mean? So I think it just really, all that
Yeah.
combined makes moments like that really special. And I'm so
Absolutely.
glad you were able to enjoy that. And we have a great photo, I know, of you in the same spot that Adam Sandler and, I think, Bo Cruz was the character's name for the NBA player
Yes.
recruit
Yes.
from Spain. But Leslie, thank you so much for joining us today. It has been truly such a joy to talk to you and hear your story. And thank you for being an advocate for public health. And thank you for being a real embodiment of our mission. Our mission here at the college is to encourage students to serve society well and effectively and compassionately. And I can't think, I mean, you're doing that. You're doing that tenfold. And thank you so much for doing that. We really are so blessed to have you, and we appreciate how much you endorsed Manor College. That's really means a lot to us. So
Yeah.
we wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you. Thank you all for giving me the opportunity. I feel like I'm just a big dental nerd sometimes, and that's how Anthony and I got talking. And, this is how I'm here. But yes, Manor changed the course of my life completely. And I'm so grateful I had the chance to have my education be with Manor.
Thank you for tuning in today. If you like what you heard, listen and subscribe on Spotify or YouTube. Stay up to date with all new episodes by following Manor College on Instagram at Manor College. And that's a wrap on another episode of The Nest, stories about life after Manor College. Remember, Blue Jays, you belong here always.